Okay, so today we're diving into someone who, well, she's really sparked some strong opinions.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy Pelosi,
Yeah,
visionary or villain?
yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, is she a political mastermind, a savvy negotiator, or just a ruthless power broker?
And just looking at the research you've given me, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
You've got Wikipedia, The New Yorker, and even America Magazine. Very different perspective.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
We've got to sift through all this praise and criticism, the controversies, the accomplishments, and try to figure this out.
Exactly.
Is Nancy Pelosi grifter or gifted?
Well, to really understand her, don't we need to go back to the beginning?
Yeah, I think so too.
Her early years
Oh,
and her rise from, Democratic organizer all the way to becoming the first female Speaker of the House.
Wow, 2007.
2007.
That's incredible.
Yeah, huge, a landmark moment in American politics.
Now, the Wikipedia entry actually gives us a really solid timeline of her career milestones.
Yeah, it does.
All the way up to, her re-election as Speaker in 2009, and then, of course, that second speakership in 2019.
Right, and I think we have to talk about her role in passing landmark legislation.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Affordable Care Act.
Obamacare.
Yeah, even when it faced such immense opposition.
Oh, man. And remember that whole kitty care quip?
Oh, yeah?
Shows her tenacity for sure.
Right.
I mean, was she a master negotiator or just a ruthless tactician?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I mean, think about how she handled some major political events.
Oh, like what?
Like the 2018-2019 government shutdown.
Oh, yeah, with Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
And his border wall.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
She stood firm against what she called, hostage-taking of civil servants.
Yeah, she did.
But then there's also, her evolving stance on Trump's impeachment.
Okay, so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because initially she was skeptical.
Yeah, she was bringing back, the Gingrich-Clinton saga.
Oh.
But then she became a driving force.
Yeah.
Those Politico excerpts that you gave me, they have some really interesting insider info on her strategy.
It's really fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
So I guess the question is, how do these examples shape our view of her political style?
Yeah.
Is it principled or purely strategic?
That's what we need to figure out.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes her so compelling.
Yeah.
This idea of a visionary or a villain.
Right.
Is she a champion of causes or just a hypocritical elite?
We'll have to dive into some specific policy areas to find out, I think.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so we're back, and we're getting into some specifics on Nancy Pelosi now.
Yeah, like diving into certain policy areas to see if we can answer that big question.
Yeah, grifter or gifted.
Exactly.
Well, one area she's been pretty outspoken on is environmental protection.
Oh, yeah, she's called climate change, like the existential threat of our time.
Strong words.
Yeah.
Definitely not mincing words there.
No.
And then, going way back to that banner incident in Tiananmen Square.
Oh, wow, in 1991. Yeah, she's been really focused on China's human rights record.
Yeah.
And remember her trip to Taiwan in 2022?
Oh, yeah.
Like, despite all those warnings from Beijing.
That took guts.
It did.
But then on the flip side, there's her support for the NSA surveillance program.
PRISM.
Yeah, PRISM, which, a lot of people see that as like an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, I mean, how do you reconcile those two positions?
Yeah. It's
Yep.
priorities.
Maybe a more, pragmatic approach?
Yeah, like doing what it takes to achieve the goal.
Yeah, even if it means compromising on other values.
Interesting. And then there's the issue of her wealth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the sources say like $120 million.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Even for a politician.
Yeah. And some people say it makes her out of touch.
With the average American?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the New Yorker articles, they really dig into this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about how she's faced all these attacks,
Yeah.
that paint her as part of the coastal elite.
And a lot of the attacks are really laced with sexism and elitism.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because she also champions these, progressive causes.
Like what?
Like marijuana law reform.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's like she's straddling these different worlds.
Yeah, and it's hard to pin down her true allegiances.
Exactly.
And then there's this whole other layer with her Catholic faith.
Oh, yeah, America Magazine had some interesting stuff about that.
Yeah, especially with her support for abortion rights.
It's caused, a huge rift in the church, right?
Huge.
Some people even want her to be denied communion.
I mean, that's intense.
It is.
So is this hypocrisy, or is it like her standing by her convictions?
Even when they clash with her beliefs.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It really makes you think about the complexities of personal faith.
And public service.
Yeah. Can you separate the two?
And we can't forget about that attack on her husband.
Oh, yeah, in 2022.
Horrible.
Awful incident.
It really shows the dangers of being in the public eye
Especially now.
with such a polarized political climate.
Yeah, words have consequences.
They do.
And sometimes that spills over into violence.
So we've covered her policies, her beliefs, the controversies, the attacks.
It's a lot.
It's complicated.
It is, but it's just one chapter in her story.
Oh, yeah.
Her relationship with Democrats has changed a lot.
Okay.
And her legacy is still being written.
That's true. We haven't even gotten to her handling of the Trump presidency.
Or her decision to step down from leadership.
So much more to unpack.
Exactly.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stick with us for the final act of this political drama. All right, so here we are, the final act of our Nancy Pelosi deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has, from her rise to power to those legislative battles, those controversies, those personal attacks.
I mean, we've seen it all.
We have, and now we're at the point where we have to ask.
Yeah, what does it all mean?
Exactly, what is her lasting impact?
Visionary or villain? How will history judge her?
I mean, we've seen both sides, right?
Oh, yeah.
The triumphs, the controversies.
Yeah. I mean, she broke barriers. She passed major legislation. But she's also been accused of being ruthless, of being more concerned with power than principle.
Right, and I think that's where those New Yorker pieces are really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they go deep into the sexism and elitism she's faced, like throughout her whole career.
Oh.
She wasn't just fighting political opponents.
No.
She was fighting these stereotypes about women.
Especially powerful women.
Exactly, especially powerful women from wealthy backgrounds.
It makes you wonder how those attacks shaped her.
Yeah, for sure.
Did they make her more guarded?
Yeah,
More determined to prove those doubters wrong?
maybe.
Or did it contribute to that my way or the highway leadership style?
Oh, yeah, that some people criticize.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really fascinating question.
It is.
And I think it says a lot about leadership, especially for women in power.
Yeah. Do they have to be tougher,
Mm.
more strategic, just to survive?
In a system that's often against them.
Exactly. And then there's that question of when does strategic brilliance go too far?
Yeah.
You know, where's the line between being pragmatic and just wanting power?
Tough one.
Because let's face it, she was really good at wielding power.
Oh, she was effective.
Yeah. The Affordable Care Act, those 2 impeachments.
Major accomplishment.
But were those achievements always aligned with her progressive values?
That's the question, right?
Yeah. Or is it more about keeping the party together than making real change?
Some people say she could have been more transformative,
Yeah.
that she was too willing to compromise.
With those who opposed her?
Yeah, it's like this tension between pragmatism and idealism.
Right. And it seems to run through her whole career.
I think you're right.
Like she's always playing the long game, you know,
Calculating her moves
knowing when to push and when to hold back.
makes it tough to answer that question.
The grifter or gifted question.
Yeah, because it's not just what she did, it's why she did it.
What was the impact?
And ultimately, that's for history to decide.
Yeah.
But what we can do is give you the context, the different sides of the story, so you can make your own conclusions.
That's what this deep dive is all about.
Yeah, encouraging people to think critically
To question assumptions.
and to remember that even the most powerful people are complex,
Yeah, they're human.
with flaws and contradictions.
So as we wrap up this listen, look at Nancy Pelosi.
Any final takeaways?
Yeah, what are some key things you want our listeners to think about?
Well, first we have to acknowledge her achievements. I mean, she broke that glass ceiling in American politics.
The first female Speaker of the House.
Love her or hate her.
Yeah,
That's a huge legacy.
it really is a true trailblazer.
In second, her story shows us just how powerful sexism and elitism still are.
Yeah, still today.
Those attacks, the stereotypes, they show how far we have to go for equality.
And how those forces can really shape anyone, even the most powerful.
Right. It can affect their choices, their leadership.
And lastly, I think her career really makes us think about power,
Yeah. The good and the bad.
the trade-offs you have to make when you have it.
When is it okay to compromise? When does it become giving up
And how do we hold our leaders accountable?
for what they do and don't do?
That's a lot to think about.
It is, but it's not just for politicians
No, it's for all of us.
who want to make a difference in the world.
Right, because whether you see Nancy Pelosi as a grifter or gifted,
Yeah.
her story is a reminder that leadership is messy.
It's complicated.
It's about navigating all these competing values
Making tough choices.
and leaving behind a legacy that people will debate.
for years to come.
So on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. What kind of leader will you be?
What legacy will you leave behind?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.